Okay, hello everybody. This is Nicole Whitlock with eCom Sellers, and today our masterclass is on how to reach your profit goals or how to reach $10,000 a month in profit. So we're going to step through this exercise. Just a little bit of background about me. So I am the owner and the co-founder of all things eCom Sellers related, and I am also the creator of the eCom Seller Summit. And I have two special needs kids who are now teenagers, and it's a little interesting to have that challenge of having teenagers. So my oldest has Asperger's and central auditory processing disorder. My youngest is autistic, and I do this business to actually be able to make sure that I have enough money to cover special therapies, treatments, so that they will become the best human beings that they can be, especially when I'm no longer here. So they are my motivation, they are my why, and that is why I do what I do. I'm also the vice president of a nonprofit for special needs children. I've been the vice president, I want to say now, for 7 or 8 years. I really don't know anymore. Um, and it is very rewarding and very fulfilling. I love helping people win and succeed in e-commerce, and I love to help people to get to their goals. So, with that being said, let's talk about how you reach your goals. So, the biggest question that most people have is, how do I get to $10,000 a month? Like, how do I get to $10,000 a month in profit? How do I get there? What do I need to do? So the answer to that is really, it's about math. It's about knowing your numbers. It's about paying attention to your business. It's about looking at the data on a regular basis. That is what it's about. That is the biggest piece of this, is when you start paying attention to the numbers, then you start making incremental changes and adjustments everywhere else around in your business to improve those numbers. And we're going to talk about the areas in which you can make adjustments. Then you'll get to your goal, whatever your goal is. It is not going to be an overnight thing. It is going to be a gradual progression. And so it's going to be based off of what you have available to you. If you have time, then you may be able to get there a little faster than someone who doesn't have a lot of available time. If you have money, depending on what you're willing to invest your money in, you may be able to get there a little bit faster than someone else is. Or if you have resources available to you. Again, one of the three is going to be a requirement in order for you to reach your goals. Now, if you're already at your goal and you're just trying to figure out how to sustain it and maintain it, then again, paying attention to your numbers on a regular basis is going to help you to be able to sustain it and maintain it, and also being consistent in your business. But if you have to make adjustments to the time that you invest in your business, then you have to figure out whether or not you are going to maybe multiply yourself, hire an additional resource, and maybe that is what you have to do in order to multiply yourself. So if you're working 6 hours, not 6 hours, sorry, if you're working 20 hours a week in your business and you can't give it any more time, maybe you hire a VA who can work an additional 20 hours. Now you got 40 hours of productivity in your business. If you only have $200 a week to invest in inventory, again, so that's money that if you don't have a lot of money, you figure out how you could potentially earn extra money, or if you have a lot of available money, maybe you take that money and you invest it in resources. So if you don't have a lot of money to start with, you're more than likely going to reinvest a significant percentage of the profits that you make back into inventory until you can get to a place where you make enough money every single month to be able to order the inventory that you need to order on a regular basis, or acquire it. Or maybe you invest in other forms of e-commerce. Maybe you do some print on demand, because print on demand is a low cost of entry into the e-commerce space. Or maybe you do some drop shipping where you have to have a little bit less money, depending on what type of drop shipping you're doing, set aside to be able to fulfill orders until you get paid, until the money's released. So money is important. And if you have a lot of money to invest in the business, then you may not have to spend as much time. You can hire other people to do the work, but you need to know what work it is that they need to do. Or resources. Maybe it's going to require an investment in resources, or it may require you starting to use resources. So some resources that you may be using is like you might outsource some of your operations to a fulfillment center like Deliver, or maybe you start sending it into Walmart WFS, which is Walmart Fulfillment Services, or you do Amazon FBA, so that way you're not making shipping shipments to customers yourself. That does two things. That buys you back time and you're using them to do the work for you. So now you have time that's freed up that you can invest in something else. Maybe you decide you need to invest in some software to help you to be able to source faster or find products faster, find profitable products faster, or to list products faster. So again, that may be the resource that you have to use in order to get to where you're trying to get to. But it's going to require something from all three, or at least one of the three that I've mentioned: time, money, and resources. And so this will all come back to the circle of life: time, money, and resources. One of the three you have to adjust. So as we go through this, the other thing that you're going to have to get better at is you have to work on your consistency. A lot of people will work in this business and then they start and stop, start and stop. They don't have a regular schedule. They randomly work on their business and they're not getting the results that they're trying to get in their business because they're being terribly inconsistent. So if you are trying to, I don't know, train for a track meet, because my son runs track, so we'll just talk about that. If you're trying to train for a track meet, you're not going to work out on Monday and that's it. And you're going to work out every Monday for a month and then be ready for the big track meet like a month later. No, you're not going to be conditioned. You haven't been doing regular stretches. You haven't been doing regular presses. You haven't been timing yourself. Nothing you've been doing is preparing you for this run. Or maybe you decide you want to run a marathon. If you only train for the marathon every Monday for 4 Mondays for 1 month, it's going to be horrible for you. You're going to be completely miserable. Same thing with like trying to lose weight. Like if you only ate right and exercised on Mondays, will you actually move the needle? More than likely not. Nothing is going to happen. So you have to be consistent in the business and actually to gain the momentum you're trying to get in your business to reach your goal number, whatever your goal number is. And you got to plan. None of this is a surprise. Holidays that come up are not a surprise. When movies are released, that is not a surprise. Christmas never moves. We always know when Christmas is. It's not a surprise. So let's plan for it. The end of the month doesn't move. We always know when it gets here. So you need to plan for it. Doing taxes doesn't change. You still got to do them. That's not a surprise. So let's do some better planning in our business so that we can reach our goals. Increase our awareness of what our numbers are, learn our numbers, tweak our numbers, monitor our numbers, and get better at this journey. So here's an example of, okay, we get to 10,000. You said all I have to do is just pay attention to the math. Yeah, pretty much. That's the short answer. So you determine what you're spending for a specific item that you're buying, whatever that item is. And then once you figure out, your cost of it, how much you're going to sell it for. So you determine your sales price. Now, these numbers may or may not be realistic, but they are just an example. So you have the cost of the item that you're spending, and you have the amount that you're willing to sell it for. And then you have a bunch of other expenses that you have to subtract. I put an asterisk on shipping because if you are sending it into a fulfillment center or something like that, then you're not listing it yourself with free shipping, and the shipping is not included in the list price. So again, depending on what you do, either you add shipping into that expense if you're selling on different platforms and you're offering free shipping. So you got to incorporate an estimated shipping amount into the list price itself so you can subtract that back out. But other than that, there's going to be a certain percentage of your things that are going to be involved in shrinkage. You may or may not be running ads. You may have platform fees. There may be other expenses that you have to account for. Shipping supplies themselves, especially if you're shipping on your own. You need to figure out what those numbers are. And then how many of this item is selling per month. So for some of you, if you're doing private label, you kind of have an idea. I have 4 or 5 private label products. And so my 4 or 5 private label products sell about 100 each month, blah, blah, blah. You can figure out the math. But if you don't have private label products and you're actually doing, retail arbitrage or maybe something else, maybe you're doing liquidations or whatever, then you're going to have to start keeping track of your numbers. So what I did was I created this spreadsheet that you can come in and make a copy of it. So this will grant you access to the spreadsheet. It's in view only mode right now. But as you go through and look at the spreadsheet, so you have the cost of the item, you populate populate everything that's in the blue. You populate the blue. You populate the blue. So if you only have two products, the rest of this is all zeros for you. But if you have more than two products, and I have it down to 25, and if you decide you want to modify it, you can. So we have the sales price of the item, how much are you selling the product for, how much did you get the product for, how much is your fees and expenses. So this may be platform fees. So for some of you that are doing FBA, you got to increase this from like 18% to like 25% or 23% or 22% because you're going to pay more in FBA. For some of you, some of the platform fees are lower. So maybe you lower it down to 15%, but you can adjust the percentage based on the platform you're selling on. I have no idea what platforms you're selling on. So you adjust the percentage. Now, if you don't know what that number is, you need to go run some reports in your back office to kind of get an average indicator of how much you're spending, how much of what you're selling, what the percentage is in fees. Okay. And keep in mind that there are fees that may be outside of that percentage. So if you're ordering shipping supplies every single month, or you're ordering labels to put the labels on, like you have to incorporate a small amount as part of that percentage. So you could do like 0.25% if you wanted to, just to account for those other oddities that are a part of the expenses and fees and ads and all that other stuff. And then shipping, like if you are on some platforms, you're offering free shipping. So then the shipping is going to be zero. But on other platforms, there may be a real number. So I just put a fictitious number in here just as a placeholder. But again, shipping is not $5. Like it depends on what you're selling. Sometimes the shipping is dirt cheap, depending on what you're selling. And sometimes the shipping is not. So more than likely, shipping is going to be way more than this. And then you're going to have some shrinkage, some returns. So, we're just going to account for that by 2%. That doesn't matter right now at the bigger scheme of things. But over time, there is a certain percentage of things that are going to have to be returned, that you're going to have questions. People are going to have questions about it, broke it, whatever, and you got to deal with that. So, or, the platform is saying you can't sell this thing. So then you got to turn around and have all the inventory shipped back to you. If you're selling on Amazon, that's more than likely the only time you'll have that problem. But my point is, you got to have a certain percentage and shrinkage. So I put a default in there of 2%. So that's not a column I suggest that you modify. But if you wanted to modify the column, you could. All you have to do is just come in here and change that to a 1 or whatever number you want to. It's your call. But you modify the blue and keep track of the blue. And then how often are your items selling per month? So again, what's the selling of your items? If you're selling like 25 of something and 10 of something and 2 of something, okay, then depending on the type of inventory you like to acquire, depending on the potential profit margin, you may need to sell more volume versus other people that may be selling items that have a larger profit margin. Maybe the profit margin is $50 or $100 or $200 per item. Then you don't have to sell as many. So again, that's going to be based off of what you're selling. So your potential profit is under column G. And so that potential profit goes all the way down to the bottom. So there's 25 rows here. And so in this example, my potential profit after subtracting expenses and fees and all that other fun stuff and whatever you're paying and, if taxes and things like that, you want to incorporate as many of the fees as possible, expenses. So that got me to $10,000. Okay. I got me to $10,000 based off of volume. In this example, I sold 990 items in a month. Are you going to have to sell 990? No, maybe you only have to sell 300. Maybe you have to sell 500. Maybe you have to sell 2,000. I don't know. It's going to be based off of what you are selling. And so if you have a bunch of random different things, then your spreadsheet probably needs to increase significantly because you may have a variety of different items that are selling and you have a bunch of them that's just 111. Now, here's the thing. You need to go back and analyze as you're looking at the data and the reports we talked about, know your numbers. You're going to start to notice some of those things that are moving, that you have higher volume in sales. You might want to get some more of those. You might want to sell more of those so you have to work less or not work as hard. So when you find those sweet products that are selling, now I'm not saying that other people aren't going to jump on, especially if you're selling on Amazon, but if the item is selling like crazy on Amazon, it will sell like crazy on other platforms. It's just a matter of making sure you have a good listing with good images and that you got the right keywords in there. So if it's in demand on Amazon, it can be on demand on the other platforms that you sell on. So if you want to sell more of that, you get more of that. And you probably want to test it for a period of time and then potentially increase it or find related items, similar items. So figure out your strategy. So we're going to talk about strategy in just a second. And then the other thing is most people are not paying attention to how much they need to potentially invest in their business every single month to get to the numbers they're trying to get to. So if I am trying to get to $10,000 a month, I clearly have to spend some money on inventory. Whether I spend money on inventory or I do print on demand, and that means I'm going to have volume in order to make money off of print on demand. I got to have a lot of stuff going up. So maybe I try to create 5 new designs or 10 new designs every single day, 5 days a week. And I got to do some keyword research around those designs. I can't just throw up random stuff. I mean, you could, but again, you're not going to get the results. Your goal is to be more strategic, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But the point is, you have to have a budget in order to acquire inventory, because clearly over on column A, you have a cost of the inventory that you're acquiring. So the cost of the inventory times the number that sell each month equals your potential budget that you need to be able to spend every single month. So if my budget is $2,000 every single month, how do I slice and dice that? That's probably $500 every week that I need to spend on inventory. If I'm not spending $500 a week on inventory, and I may have a set price range in which I'm spending in this example, I will never get to my $10,000 a month. So I'm going to be doing some research on products. I'm going to do some research on the products that are moving, that are in demand, the products that solve a problem that customers are interested in right now, or will be interested in the very near future because a holiday is coming up, a graduation is happening, a big event is happening, whatever it is. And so this is one of those things that people would buy stuff for anyway. So I need to be prepared to spend money every single month on inventory to get to my numbers, depending on what I'm sourcing. Okay. So your budget may adjust. It goes back to time, money, and resources. I may have to spend more money on inventory in order to get to my $10,000 a month. Now, is $2,000 realistic? Probably not. Like you're probably going to have to spend to get to $10,000 a month. You may have to spend $3,000 or $4,000. But the point is, again, you're trying to get to a certain number, and a certain percentage of your items that you list are not going to sell. So you got to know that too. So in this example, I'm only looking for the items that actually sold. How many actually sold? So of those 50 that sold, how many did I actually have? Maybe I had 75 and only 50 sold. So you're paying attention to what sold. The only way you're going to know that is you begin the process of paying attention to your reports, your data, and all of the numbers. So let's go back to what do you need to be doing differently, maybe. Okay. So as we analyze what you're doing or not doing, you got to make some adjustments. If you want to download this spreadsheet so you can play with it as much as you want to, you can go to bit.ly/potential, capital P, profit, capital P, calculator, capital C. It is a simplistic spreadsheet. It is not complicated. It's very simplistic. You just populate the blue. You need to go to the file and then you click on make a copy and you can have your own version of it. So this is from a Gmail account and it is open to everybody. You just need to make a copy. It is on in view only mode right now. So what do you need to do in order to be successful in your business? You got to look at the people that are already making what you want to make. And what are those people doing in their business that maybe you're not doing, or maybe they're doing it a little bit better or more consistently than you are, and that you need to tweak and improve gradually over time. So the one thing is that they commit to their business. They're not distracted by shiny objects. They're not distracted by whatever is coming up next. They are not distracted by that. They commit to their business. That is one thing that they do. So whenever somebody asks them about a network marketing opportunity, whenever somebody's trying to get them into something else or, get them to do something, they're not being distracted by that. They're committed to actually working in their business and they don't follow the shiny objects or squirrel. Second, they're focused. They're focused on what it is that they're doing. They're focused when they are actually working in their business. So, that's not to say that they don't spend time with their family. That doesn't mean they don't do other things. Maybe they incorporate the entire family in the process, but they are definitely focused. So they have a commitment to their business and they are focused on what it takes to get the job done, to be successful, to find the product. They're focused. They're not distracted. They're not going after shiny objects. They are consistent. They are consistently listing, consistently sourcing, consistently shipping. They're consistent about what they do in their business. So that if that's not a trait that you have, that's something you need to work on. If you get distracted, if you started this e-commerce thing and then stopped and then started it again and stopped and started again and stopped, you're never going to get momentum doing that, ever. You'll never get momentum. If you are spread too thin and you're trying to do 5 different things, I'm going to do this stock thing and I'm going to do this cryptocurrency thing and I'm also going to do this e-commerce thing and I'm also going to do this other network marketing thing. And oh, by the way, I'm going to do this other thing. Yeah, no. You got to get focused, laser focused on what the goal and the objective is. And you got to be consistent. The next is that they are organized. They are very organized in their business. Now, this is with a caveat because I've run across a couple of 7-figure and 8-figure earners that are not as organized as I thought they were, but they do have systems in place. Okay, so they have systems in place. They may have VAs that create listings for them. They may have VAs to do product research for them. They may have VAs to do shipments for them. So they do have systems in place. And so they are somewhat organized or very organized, one or the other. But they're not, they're more organized than they are not. So for them, it could be that they're doing a bunch of volume and they could stand to be a little more organized than they are, but they are organized to some extent. They got systems in place. If you don't have systems in place, processes in place, if you are not organized with what you're doing, you're not running your reports, you're not looking at the data, you're not making data-driven decisions on what to source, you need to do that. That's an adjustment you need to make. Then they plan and they strategize. They plan. As I said before, Christmas, we know when it's going to be here. It's not a surprise. It didn't just pop up tomorrow. It's just, that's not how this works. There are things that happen in our business that we have the opportunity, and because we are so disorganized, we leave money on the table. So you need to get it together. This is your opportunity to get to $10,000. If you're already there, congratulations. I am excited for you. Keep doing what you're doing and making adjustments during the non-peak seasons, non-peak periods of the business in order to sustain the $10,000 per month. Maybe you shift to private label and some white label in the middle of there. You switch to some replens, whatever. But you got to strategize in order to maintain that money that you're trying to get to every single month. So they plan. They plan what inventory that they're going to be selling in the future. They plan who they're going to be ordering from. They strategize. They figure out how many listings do I need to have up by this time? Because again, it's a certain percentage. And so if you're paying attention to the numbers and you know how many sold and you know how many you bought, in that example of you bought 75, 50 sold, that's data. So this is some data that you could potentially use in the future, depending on what it is you were trying to sell. If it is something for like Valentine's Day, which is already passed, seeing the data around the fact that you sold, you had 75 and you sold 50, we know that that is a seasonal focused thing. Will Valentine's Day items sell after Valentine's Day? Yeah, but you have to be strategic because you can incorporate some of those items into potential bundles for Mother's Day, which is the next holiday that will be coming up. So again, strategizing. So if you are not being strategic about what you're doing when you're buying inventory, if you're not paying attention to the numbers and the data, you have to increase that awareness. They learn or they educate themselves. So some of you have access to reports in your back office. You don't run them. If you run them, you don't look at them. You don't understand what the columns are. You don't know what the numbers mean to you. They're just like, oh, okay, well, I see this was my fees and that's it. And they got like 20 columns on it, but you pay attention to 3. Okay, you got to stop doing that. And you need to learn what this report is potentially trying to tell you, because it could be saving you money. It could be saving you time. It could help you make better buying decisions in the future. So learn your back office, learn your reports, whatever platforms you're selling on, pay attention to the data, learn what's available to you. So some of you may or may not know there's some reports in your back office, like the eBay report that's available to you. That will tell you what's wrong with your listings. And if you go in and rework or retweak those listings, that could cause you to get a sale, which will help you to get to your monthly numbers. But if you don't know about the report, or you're not doing anything to try to run it on a regular basis and analyze it, or at least give it to a VA to adjust. And again, if you're not at the place where you can afford a VA, that's fine. You will hopefully over time, as you get more focused, more committed, more consistent, more organized, you start planning and strategizing, your numbers will go up and you'll be able to hire a VA to do that for you. But you need to educate yourself on your back office. You need to educate what your options are. You need to put learning at the forefront of what you need to do. It doesn't need to be the thing that you spend the majority of your time on, because you need to focus on income producing activities, but it should be something that you do on a regular basis. So if one of the things that you feel like you're not strong at is taking better pictures or getting better pictures for your listings, then you need to set aside 30 minutes every week. And let's say you do it 30 minutes every week over the next 12 weeks, which is 3 months, and you work on for 30 minutes consistently every single week on getting better at taking pictures. Or maybe you're not doing a good job on keyword research. So again, you get focused and you say, okay, for the next 12 weeks, I am going to work on keyword research for 30 minutes. Well, at the end of 12 weeks, that's 6 hours of keyword research that you've done. And the great thing about that, if you break it down, is that you could take that keyword research that you learned and incorporate that or use it immediately into creating new listings. So you're not learning stuff and then losing it. You're learning stuff and using it immediately. So then you can immediately apply it to your business. All right. You're going to be intentional. Everything about what you do in your business is going to be intentional. You're going to make intentional decisions about the inventory you buy. You're going to make intentional decisions on where you're going to spend your time. You're going to make intentional decisions on where you're going to spend your money. You're going to make intentional decisions on what resources you need to run your business more efficiently, faster, better, to make more money. You're going to make intentional decisions. You're not going to be random. You're not going to be haphazard. If you run a haphazard business, you will get haphazard results. And you're going to build a real work schedule. That is what successful sellers do. Whether they stick to it 1000% or whether they at least have the framework for a regular schedule, they at least know potentially when they're going to create listings, when they're going to do shipments, when they're going to do their audit the inventory, when they're going to do their books, reconcile their books, go look at expiration dates. They know when they're doing these things in their business, or they at least have some idea. Maybe they wake up every day and they've got a daily checklist. Maybe they've got a weekly checklist, but they know when they're going to do some of the things that they're doing in their business. Doing sourcing on this day and shipments. I'm doing product research on this day and shipments. I'm doing listings from this time to this time. They know what they're doing in their business. If you have a schedule, let me just say this for just a second. If you go to church, there is a schedule for when you go to church. It's not random. They say you come to church and we're going to have the sermon from this time to this time. That's a schedule. Okay. It's not random. It is actually a schedule. When your kids go to school, they go to preschool or go to high school or whatever, there is a set time in which they go there, participate, engage, go from class to class or whatever, and then they come home. It is a schedule. Everything about our life actually does have a schedule. We just don't pay attention to it. Even if we have to get our tires changed for our car or get an oil change, they have operating hours. Those operating hours, if you try to come there after those operating hours, you're going to be out of luck. You're going to be SOL. So if everything else about your life really does have a schedule, why don't you have one? Everything does. You should have a schedule on when you're going to work your business. If you go to a job, you have a schedule. They tell you when you're supposed to be there and when you can get off work. They also tell you what you're supposed to do when you're there, which is a whole different, it's another discussion that's related. But again, you should have a schedule to work your business. It shouldn't be random and it shouldn't be haphazard. If you hired a personal trainer, they're going to tell you when they're going to meet with you every single day, and you're going to have to put that on a calendar, and that is your schedule. So put together a real work schedule that you can follow so you can be intentional with what? Your time, money, and resources. You're going to be intentional with your time, money, and resources going forward. So as far as your business is concerned, there's some e-commerce operational basics that you need to establish. So I encourage you over the next week to sit down for at least an hour, maybe two, and write out a couple of sentences for each one of these. Why? Because after this session, you're going to be working towards getting some VAs or outsourcing some stuff, and you got to have some standard operating procedures documented. You got to know what it is you're doing in your business. So, in order to know what it is that you're doing in your business, you're going to have to write some stuff down, even if it's only a couple of sentences. So, the first thing you need to do is, as of today, figure out what are the business models that you want to incorporate your business from now to the end of the year. Do you want to dabble in some print on demand? Do you want to try some drop shipping? Do you want to roll out a private label product? Are you going to keep doing retail arbitrage or online arbitrage? What is your plan? You're going to try some liquidation? What's your strategy? Okay, write it out. That doesn't mean you're going to do it right now. It could be for the next 3 months, you're going to work on fine tuning what you're doing right now. And then the following 3 months, you're going to work on learning a new method of e-commerce while you're still doing what you're doing. So it's not an immediate shift. It is a let's put together a plan and a vision for your business. You should have a vision. So step one, first thing you need to do, decide what your business model is going to be from this day forward to the end of the year. Okay. Next one, a research strategy. You have one. You do some form of product research. It may be very, very thin. It may be very, very minimal, but you do it. So you need to write it out. And even if you don't know exactly what to write down, when you get ready to do product research of any type or keyword research or any type of research for your business, wholesale supplier research, whatever it is, just write down 2 or 3 sentences of what you do. We don't have to get detailed and into massive paragraphs. Just write some stuff down. Sourcing strategy. What's your sourcing strategy? You have one. So if you're doing print on demand, like who are you sourcing with? What is your profit margin you're trying to get to? And what are the products that you want to actually work with for print on demand? So you have like, oh, okay, I'm going to use Printful and Printify, and these are the ones I'm going to use. I'm going to use Redbubble, blah, 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 because they have this. Write it down. You can write it as free form, as non-professional as possible, because this is just a brain dump. 2 or 3 sentences, 4 or 5 sentences, just write it down. Doing retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, I source at Walmart, Target, Dollar Tree, Big Lots, Party City, and 99-cent store, and I do my sourcing on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Okay, write that down. How many hours are you working? So just write out what you do. Listing strategy. What is your listing strategy right now? How do you list things? Do you manually list? Do you use a listing tool? Is it that you want to move to a listing tool in the future? What are you doing right now? Okay, how do you list? And when you think about listing, you need to think about all the components of a listing, okay, which is the picture, the title, the description, the keywords, like all of that, the price, all of those things are part of the listing component. Then you've got a shipping strategy. So you need to just write down what you're doing. And if you're not really sure what you're doing, just do the job, just do it, and then write down what you did. So sometimes you don't know what you're doing because you haven't really been paying attention to it. So then you just need to do it. And then you can write down, oh, okay, well, I just did blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. This is how I did it. Okay. Then your shipping strategy, whether you are outsourced, whether you're doing drop shipping and somebody else is fulfilling the orders, write that down. Like I drop ship off of AliExpress and I only choose e-packets, and I make sure I have vendors that have, the ship to the US and their processing time is this, and they have a rating of this and blah, blah, blah. And they do the shipping. And then I go and check every day at 6:00 whether or not the shipments went out, like whatever your process is. I ship stuff to my customers myself. I normally do shipments 4 times a week. And so I order shipping supplies, and I normally ship through these carriers, or I order shipping labels from my back office of the platforms that I sell on, like whatever it is. Okay. Or I ship in to fulfillment centers and I let them do whatever. So what's your shipping process? Whether you're doing it, somebody else is doing it. Customer service and returns. Again, what is your customer service strategy? How often, not necessarily how often, we're not going to get into the weeds on that, but you need to write down, like, do you have a process? If you don't have one, these are things that we're literally just doing a brain dump. So if you don't have a customer service process in place, then just write down, I don't have one. I randomly check emails, or I check for messages from the platform when they come up, or I process returns as long as they're within 30 days. Like, what is your process? Then administrative. What is your process right now? Again, you will fix this over time. You just need to write down what you're doing, because you can't fix something if you don't know what you're doing. When you think about a personal trainer, like a personal trainer is going to ask you what you eat and what you do every single day, so that he or she can work with you to make adjustments to improve it. So you got to write down what you're doing right now in order to improve it. So what are you doing right now? Account reconciliation, taxes, inventory management, order management, legal structure. Like, how are you set up? What's going on? If you don't have any of that, you don't know what it is, or you don't have anything, like, you need to write down like what they are. And then traffic or marketing. Maybe you're not doing anything. Maybe you're just doing keyword research, or you're looking for organic results. Maybe you are doing paid campaigns on Amazon and also on Google or whatever, or paid advertising on some of the other platforms. So again, write down what you're doing, and then your education plan. Like, do you have a plan right now for what you want to learn or what you want to improve in your business? If you don't know, that's fine. If you're not really doing anything right now to learn, or you're getting sucked into the vortex of YouTube every single day, because you're going out to YouTube to find an answer, and you discover 3 hours later that you've wasted 3 hours on YouTube that you'll never get back. And that's the reason why you're not making the money that you want to make in your business. One of these things is happening. Okay? So write down what you're doing right now, so at least you know. Then the next thing is, then we're going to sort of break down some of the core components of being an online seller. We're going to break down those core components, because one thing we want to do is we either want to improve them, we want to streamline them, or we want to master them. We're trying to get to $10,000 a month. We've got to analyze what we're doing, because we wrote some stuff out, and then we're going to improve, streamline, or master. So your keyword research, you wrote down some stuff. Now it's time to analyze what you wrote down. So I would write it out and then walk away from, do the whole, write all these out and walk away from them. Just leave them be after you write them out. Come back like 2 days later and tackle them one at a time. So after you write them out, walk away 2 days later. So Monday, Sunday, whatever. Now we're going to look at, how am I doing my research? Because these are the key components. Key components of being an online seller is research, sourcing, listing, shipping, customer service, and administrative. Those are the key components. Now, ads can be in there as well. You can incorporate ads in one of these, or you can put it as something completely separate. But those are the core components, because not every seller is doing ads, but every seller is doing some level of research. They're doing some level of sourcing. They're creating a listing. Otherwise, you don't sell anything. It has to be listed somewhere. There's some level of shipping that's happening in their business. They do have some level of customer service, no matter what, even if the platform is doing the customer service. And there are some administrative things they should be doing in their business. So even if they're not running ads, they're at least doing these core components. So we walk away, we pick it up 2 days later, and for 1 week, we are going to analyze everything that we're doing on research. What can we improve on what we're doing on research? What can we streamline? What can we automate? And maybe it's not something you can streamline or automate right now, but it could be something you want to do in the future. And doing it in the future, it may require some money. So that means, what do we have to do? We got to get more sales. How do we get more sales? We got to get better at creating listings, sourcing products, so we can find products that are profitable, get better at finding those faster, and make more money, get them listed faster. So, okay. So you're going to spend about a week just going through and analyzing research, your activities. What are you doing? How are you doing it? And what can you fix? What can you improve? Are you paying attention to holidays that are coming up? Are you paying attention to events that are coming up? What are you paying attention to or not paying attention to? Are you in niches? Are you not in niches? So again, do you sell niche products? Maybe you've never really paid attention. Maybe 75% of your inventory is baby related, and you just never really paid attention to it until now, because now you're looking at the data. So again, you're going to spend a week doing that. Then after you spend a week doing that, the next week we're going to go and spend a week doing what? Dissecting what you're doing on sourcing, because we're going to work to get better at sourcing. You got to get better at sourcing. You got to find more profitable products. You got to find products that have, how can I reduce my profit? How can I increase my profit margin, my return on my investment? How can I do that? What are some of the things that I'm doing when I'm sourcing? Like, am I using cashbacks? Am I using coupons? Am I whatever? Am I trying to find deals? Am I doing liquidations? Am I only sourcing clearance? What am I doing? Am I creating products? Am I doing research on private label products that have better profit margins? Like, what am I doing when it comes to sourcing? Am I vetting suppliers that have a certain rating? What am I doing? So again, if you don't have a process, you're literally going to spend a week dissecting that. Now, you're not going to stop doing your business. You're going to maybe set aside 30 minutes or 30 minutes every day, maybe, to just dissect this one thing. So if you're working in your business every single day for 3 hours, you're going to take 30 minutes, because you've got to improve your sourcing. You've got to improve your research. You've got to figure this out. Okay. So once you've done that, then the following week, because this is over 6 weeks, then you're going to get better at your listing. What are you doing? Are you doing your listing backwards? Are you not putting everything together? Is it taking you forever? Are you spending like 2 hours to put up 3 listings? Like, what's happening there? What could you do to streamline or simplify the listing process? Could you use listing tools? Could you be more organized? Back to some of those things that are key components. Could you be more organized in your listing process? So if you could be more organized in your listing process, what could you improve? Well, I could probably get some of the pictures taken much faster and get the pictures cleaned up and have the images ready, or I could find images that already exist that I don't have copyright on, and I can use those. Maybe I could get better in my keyword research. Is there a free tool out there I could be using? Well, I'm going to sit down, because again, I'm going to sit down for a week and look at research and see what I can do to improve that. So I maybe will be able to come across some keyword tools that'll help me get better at doing that research so I can create better listings. Maybe I analyze other products and look at how other listings and look at how they're creating the listing. So I can go back and go, yeah, I'm not doing that very well at all. That one right there, I am not doing very well at all. So again, back to, what are the things that you're doing in your business? Maybe you are literally not ready to list in your listing window. If you put down a listing window of 1 hour, are you doing 5,000 other things before you actually type into the computer the listing itself? What are those things? So the only way you're going to know that is to analyze it. Oh, well, it's taking me forever. I got to take all the labels off of stuff, and I got to take the tags off, and then I have to adjust it, but I got to fold it a certain way. And I got to go do the keyword research, and I don't even know what price to sell this for. Like, okay, that's why it's taking you so long, because you haven't figured out how to do all of that analysis before you get to, right now, I'm literally just going to list. You're not doing that. Shipping. What do I need to do differently? Maybe I'm not buying the shipping from the back office when somebody buys something, and so I'm buying shipping through some other method. Maybe I'm not taking advantage of maybe some discounted rates on like Pirate Ship. Maybe I'm not going out and doing the analysis on what my fulfillment centers are doing. I'm not going back to check how long it takes for Amazon, because it's going to vary from warehouse to warehouse. We know that, but to check my stuff in, and I'm not auditing to see that it's actually active. I'm not checking whatever it is you're not doing or you should be doing. You need to write it. You need to pay attention to it for at least a week and figure out how you can improve it, streamline it, or master it. This may give you an opportunity to build a better relationship if you've outsourced some of those operations. Maybe you're not ordering your supplies fast enough, and so you run out of supplies, and then you catch yourself off guard. So that could be part of your planning strategy that, okay, 2 days out of the month, I'm going to go check my inventory around my shipping supplies. And if I need them, I'm going to order them in advance so I'm not caught off guard when I got shipments. Or I'm going to do a better job of keeping boxes when they come in, and blah, 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 whatever it is. Customer service. What are you doing? What's your process? Do you have Do you have a boilerplate response, or do you type something free form every single time you have to deal with something on eBay or Walmart or whatever? What's your process? Where do you take in returns? When are you processing them? Do you process them just when they come in? Do you have a process where you process them once a week, twice a week? What are you doing? Do you even check every single day whether or not you have a question? You probably go 4 or 5 days and not know that you had a question out there. Then you get dinged by the platform. So, okay, we're working to improve that. And then administrative. How often are you going out there to look at what are my numbers? What is the data telling me? What am I auditing? What's my inventory levels? What are the things that are actually making me the most money? What are the things that are moving the fastest? And then analyze, why are they moving the fastest? Well, it could be the obvious of, oh, okay, a holiday is coming up, so that's the reason why it's moving fast. Or it could be something else, and you just have never paid attention to it. So you're out here sourcing all this other stuff when you could really be focusing on honing in on the things that are moving the most frequently for you because you're paying attention to the data. Running your reports, doing your taxes, checking for your expiration dates, all that stuff. What are you doing? If you don't have a process in place, this is going back to building that schedule so you can make sure that you're accounting for these things every single month. Okay. So now that we go through the core components of what you need to do to break things down, because we're going to gradually improve what we're doing to get to our numbers. You got to build a real work schedule. I talked about it before. You need to figure out why you're not able to work a real schedule. Even if your real schedule is you only work 1 hour a day in your business, it's still a schedule. It's still a schedule. So what's stopping you? What's the distraction? What do you maybe need to simplify in your external life that will allow you the opportunity to work in your business? So maybe you're going to school, you're going to college, and so your college classes change every single semester. Okay, fine. You build a new schedule every single semester when you get your college class schedule. So that you can say, okay, this is the time I have allotted for class and study. We know that it won't be perfect. It will not be perfect. This is the time I have allotted for study. This is the time I have allotted for running my business. Because again, you're trying to get to the numbers. So how much time are you working in your business? You can't get to $10,000 a month only working 1 hour a day in your business. That's 5 hours or 7 hours a week. Unless you're 100% outsourcing everything. If you're 100% outsourcing everything and you work 7 hours, then there's probably some stuff that's broken in your business that you don't know about because you're relying on everybody else and you're not really looking at the information in your business strong enough. Now, can you get to working 1 hour in your business a day, every single day, at some later point? Yes. After you've been running your business for a while and you've been looking at the data and look at the numbers, and you have mastered the art of sourcing, and you've mastered the art of doing product research. You mastered what you need to do. So you know what products you should be ordering. And you can work with someone and say, okay, I need you to order this, order that, order this, do this, da, 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 da. And you can make data-driven decisions and everybody else can run your business for you. But when you're at the early stages of making the adjustments so you can get to the $10,000, you're not there. You're not. And it may be a little while before you get to that place where you only work 1 hour a day in your business. So figure out how many hours are you actually working in your business that you're willing to commit and that you're most productive. Because watching YouTube videos all day is not a productive use of your time. It is not. You're not going to get anything listed watching YouTube videos for 3, 4, 7 hours a day. If you got that kind of time, you need to be throwing 7 hours a day at your business. You'll get to $10,000 a lot quicker that way. So use some tools that'll help you to get back on track, to get focused, and maybe put some stuff in place if you got kids so that they can be engaged in activities so you can have these little windows of time. I call them pockets of time to be able to work in my business. Use a Google Calendar if that works for you. Use timers, kitchen timers always work. I have like a playlist on YouTube that I'll play in the background while I'm working. Pretend like you're clocking in and clocking out for a real job. If you need to put a sign on your door or you just need to leave the house to be able to work, Do what you need to do to be able to work in your business. When you do work in your business, when you do build this schedule, you need to make sure it is a realistic schedule. You don't want to make it so simple and so easy that you're not stretching yourself. You're not pushing yourself. You do want to push and stretch yourself over time. So you need to make sure that you're focused on the income producing activities. The goal is to get more things listed so you can get more things sold, or to get better things listed so you can make more money and have higher profits. So again, over time, you're going to get better at the sourcing. When you get better at sourcing, getting more strategic about sourcing, then maybe you don't have to have any things listed because you're very laser focused and strategic about what you're doing. Okay? So as part of this journey, of course, all of this is going to require you to make an adjustment in your mindset, period. It is. At the end of the day, you are the boss. You make all the decisions. You run the business. And so you need to keep track of everything. You need to know where you stand. You can't be running a business blind. You really do need to know what's happening in your business. So I want to encourage you to go back, watch this session again, make the adjustments in your business to get to where you want to be in your business. Okay, so you can achieve those goals. Whenever you get frustrated and distracted, and you will, things will happen. Murphy will show up and will always put a roadblock in your way. But you need to remember your why. And as I said before, my kids are my why. Like, they're in my face every day so that I never forget what my why is. I know that someday I will not be on this earth. And so I need them to be able to survive and thrive in this world without me. So it is all about, what can I do to help them to become better versions of themselves? And I can't do that if I can't hire the professionals to help with developing those skills. So that's why. Your why will motivate you to get back on track and to get focused. So remember that. And work on your mindset as part of this journey. So what are your next steps? First thing you need to do, definitely need to work on your mindset. You need to visualize the future success of your business. So whatever it looks like from now to the end of the year, where do you want to go in your business and what do you want it to look like? And every day you need to be visualizing getting there. You need to be visualizing what that is. The journey is going to start now, and it's going to be every single day until you get to those numbers and beyond. Because once you get to those numbers, then you're going to establish a new goal. Okay, so it may require you to work more in your business until you're able to make enough money to where you can hire a VA, maybe at $200 or $400. And then, hey, I've almost doubled parts of what I do. Maybe they take on your listing or keyword research or whatever. But again, you got to visualize hiring that VA. You got to visualize getting to that $10,000 a month in profit. You got to visualize it. The next one is you need to develop or document your operations basics, all of that. So we talked about the strategies. You're just going to sit down, write down 2 or 3 sentences of what you do right now. You'll eventually come back and rewrite that. But that is not the goal today. The goal is just to do a brain dump, sit down a couple of hours, write it out, and just leave it. Write it in a notebook. You're going to come back and read it later. When you're at the place where you're ready to read it later, then you're going to start dissecting the core components. Okay, those core components are, research, sourcing. Everybody's doing that. I don't care what method of e-commerce you're doing. Everybody's doing research. Everybody's doing some level of sourcing. Even people that are doing the affiliate marketing version of e-commerce are still figuring out what are the popular products that people want so that they can put their affiliate links on it. So they're doing some level of sourcing. Okay. Then there's listing, shipping. There should be some customer service and administrative tasks. You may or may not be running ads. Depends on what you're doing as to whether or not you do or don't run ads. There are some sellers that I've met that don't ever run ads. And there are some that run them all the time. So that is not something that all sellers do. The next one is, so you got to get that core basics. And so just remember that you're going to break down each one of those core basics over 2 weeks. You're going to focus, or 1 week, or 2 weeks, whatever. You're going to focus on it for 2 weeks. So research, focus on it for 2 weeks. 30 minutes, just figure it out. Then the next 2 weeks, sourcing. then the next 2 weeks listing. Your goal is to improve those, remember, to get better at them, because we're trying to get to this number. Then you're going to build a real work schedule. You need to set time reminders. Maybe you need to set an alarm of when you're going to start listing on your phone, so that way the alarm goes off. Maybe you need to get up a little bit earlier, get up 30 minutes earlier than you normally do. Or maybe you need to work through your lunch period. Or maybe you need to stay up an extra 15 minutes later after the kids go to bed. Whatever it is, you're going to find those pockets of time, but you're going to build a schedule so that you do have those pockets of time. That schedule is going to help you to build the consistency. That's really what's going to happen. It's going to help you to build the consistency and the focus that we were talking about at the beginning. You're going to learn and track your numbers. You should know your numbers. Every single week, you're going to go and you're going to spend some time going through your numbers. If it's not already on your schedule, you're going to build it into your schedule. 30 minutes, I'm going to do this. Work on my numbers. I'm going to read my reports. I'm going to whatever. You're going to write down where you are. You know your numbers. Now, if you want to do it every single day, you could do that as well. Because some of you have the ability to do this on a daily basis, and some of you work full-time jobs and you can only do it on a part-time basis. But whatever is available to you, get really good at understanding your numbers. You have to. And then number 6, plan for your future success. You have to visualize your future success. Now let's plan. Let's be intentional. When am I going to start sourcing for back to school? When am I going to start sourcing for Q4? When am I going to start sourcing for Mother's Day? When am I going to start? Like all of the things that are coming up. What are the big events that are happening this year that are a big deal? You know, there's elections this year. How many of you guys are buying lapel pins, the flag lapel pins? Okay. So, you know, we have state-run elections here in Texas. In any case, and you're going to make intentional decisions every single day in your business. Now, number 3, number 4, number 5, it's going to be rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. You're going to do these things, your core basics over and over again. Then you're going to have to tweak your schedule because you may have to make adjustments, but you're going to set timers on when you're going to do stuff. And then you're actually going to track your success. You're going to learn your numbers and you're going to keep looking at your numbers over and over again. So those are the things you're going to do over and over again. That's how you get to $10,000 a month. That's exactly how you get there. So I want to encourage you guys, if you're ready to build the habit of consistency in your business and you're struggling with that, being organized, being disciplined, being focused, I want to encourage you to get my eCom planner. As part of the summit, I think we have a 10% off offer where if you type in 10OFF eCom plan, 10OFF eCom plan at checkout, you'll be able to get 10% off of your e-commerce planner. Use it to help you to do all the things that we just talked about, to get focused, to be consistent, to track your numbers, to know your numbers so that you can get to that place you want to be in your business. And then I also encourage you to join the e-commerce planning Facebook group. It's an open Facebook group. And all we do is plan every single day. So we plan Monday through Saturday. We do daily planning and then we do weekly planning on Saturdays. And then the last Sunday of each month, we do monthly planning. So this Sunday, we will be focused on planning for the month of March. We'll also take a gander at April, but we'll be intentional about the month of March. And when we're looking at March, maybe we will start thinking about sourcing ideas for the month of May. So we're doing some advanced planning. Being intentional with our time, money, and resources. Okay? Planning for our future and being strategic. That is what sellers who make $10,000 a month do. So you can join the Facebook group. We encourage you to join us and come hang out. So with that being said, this is Nicole Whitlock with eCom Sellers. I hope this information was helpful to you in your business. I encourage you to get the All Access Pass if you have not purchased it yet. And I hope this makes a difference in your business and what's happening in your life. We're going to say goodbye for now. Bye, y'all.